Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something we've all witnessed, but maybe never fully understood, the wonderfully chaotic, intensely physical language of toddlers. If you've ever spent more than 5 minutes with a young child, you already know they aren't exactly going to sit down and hand you a neatly typed memo about their mental state. Nope. Instead, they process their big feelings through this incredibly dynamic, full-body experience. And today, we're going to break down exactly how that works. Okay, let's kick things off by looking at a surprisingly insightful children's song from Nunu TV. It asks this really subtle question wrapped up in a super catchy tune. Why do toddlers stomp when they're mad? Is it just to make a racket, or is there an actual deeper physiological mechanism going on here? Well, check out this super vivid lyric. My cheeks are burning bright red. This line right here perfectly captures the core premise of our entire explainer. Children don't just feel emotions in their minds, they literally embody them physically. For them, an emotional reality is a completely sensory reality. When a feeling hits, it hits the entire nervous system like a wave. Section 1. The physical language of feelings. So we're exploring how kids express what's bubbling up inside them through this highly intricate mix of physical sensations, facial expressions, and overt actions. At this early stage of life, emotional expression has absolutely nothing to do with complex vocabulary. A toddler is definitely not going to look at you and say, I am feeling quite frustrated by this current predicament, right? Instead, as the song reminds us, their face and body will surely show it. They broadcast their internal state to the world through very specific, observable physical signals. Section 2. The anatomy of anger. Let's break down one of the absolute most intense, high-arousal emotions a kid can experience. When we look at the internal sensations, a face getting hot, cheeks burning bright red, and a heart beating so incredibly fast the child can actually feel it pounding in their chest, we can directly link those to outward actions, like stomping around. When a kid feels mad, those intense, hot, pounding internal sensations are literally the fuel for those explosive outward actions. We can actually track this as a step-by-step escalation. Step 1, the face gets hot. Step 2, the cheeks burn bright red. Step 3, the heart beats fast and starts pounding. And finally, step 4, the massive outward release of stomping feet loudly. So the absolute crucial point here is that this physical progression isn't misbehavior. It's the child's completely natural, biological response to an overwhelming, hot, pounding internal sensation. They are literally just stomping out the extra energy generated by that racing heart. Section 3. Why crying is necessary. Now let's see how this translates to a lower arousal but equally heavy emotion, sadness. The song emphatically validates the need to vocalize that sadness, stating simply, it's okay to cry. It's a great reminder for both the child and the caregiver that crying isn't some problem that needs to be hushed away immediately. Actually, it's essential to just let it out. Think of crying as the nervous system's built-in release valve for sorrow. But beyond just vocalizing, there's another really interesting dimension to processing sadness. The lyrics say, if you're sad and you know it, pat your head. This shows us how even a quiet, soothing physical gesture, like gently patting your own head, can be an incredibly powerful tool. It helps the child physically acknowledge their sadness and, gently ground themselves back into their own body. Section 4. Channeling joy and silliness. Okay. So it's not just the heavy feelings, right? Let's pivot to the high-energy, vibrant spectrum of a child's emotional landscape. Positive emotions are deeply somatic, too. If a child feels silly, the physical action is to laugh out loud, paired with a big ha-ha. If they feel happy, they clap their hands and shout hooray. And if they have that spontaneous, crazy energy, well, they might just break into a chicken dance and yell cluck, cluck. They totally rely on these energetic dance moves, loud laughter, and enthusiastic clapping to physically release all those high spirits. Consider this line right here. Let your laughter fill the air. Show them all you just don't care. When a kid is feeling silly, letting their laughter literally fill the space around them allows them to freely express that immense joy without any restraint or self-consciousness. It's just pure, unadulterated emotional expression at its best. Section 5. The pathway to calm. So the ultimate goal of all these physical expressions, whether we're talking about anger, sadness, or extreme silliness, is transitioning back to a baseline state of emotional equilibrium. And there's a very clear, logical pathway to regulation here, broken down into 3 steps. Step 1 is the onset of the big feeling, like that heart pounding with anger. Step 2 is the physical release. This is the stomping, the crying, the laughing, or the dancing. And step 3 is finally feeling calm and feeling better. That intense physical release in step 2, that is the exact mechanical bridge that allows the child to cross over from an overwhelming feeling into a safe, regulated, calm state. As the song resolves, we hear these really comforting words. Calm. I feel so much better. So, if there's one crucial point to take away from this entire explainer, it's this. These outward physical expressions, the stopping, the crying, the loud shouting, they aren't the problem. Actually, they are the child's completely natural, necessary, and incredibly effective solution to self-regulate and eventually find peace. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to reflect on. If these physical embodied pathways are exactly how we naturally regulate and find our way back to calm from childhood, how do you manage your own overwhelming feelings today? I mean, somewhere along the line, we stop stomping our feet and clapping our hands out loud, but our bodies absolutely still hold those emotions. Thank you so much for joining me to decode the anatomy of childhood emotions, and I really hope this gives you a completely new perspective the next time you see a toddler stomping their feet.